Hi everybody, it's Budget Bunny here, and today's video is going to be all about hay. So hay is the most important part of your rabbit's diet. It should make up at least 85% of your rabbit's daily food intake. There's several reasons that hay is important. Most importantly though, I think, is that it keeps the gut moving. So rabbits have very complex systems and they need that hay fed to them in unlimited amounts so that it can help break down blockages, give them the nutrients and vitamins they need, and also control things like hairballs. If they're not eating enough hay, it can lead to things like stasis, which is very serious. It basically means your whole rabbit system shuts down and they can actually die from that. Chewing hay also helps to keep their teeth trimmed. Their teeth are always growing, and if they're not worn down, it can cause things like abscesses, eye problems, and more seriously, they wouldn't be able to eat. So not eating enough hay could cause your rabbit to have some sticky, kind of mushy poop, and this could lead to things like poopy bum, or more seriously, fly strike, especially if you keep your rabbits outdoors. So a lot of you have probably heard of first, second, and third cut. And basically what this is referring to is what harvest they were cut in. So first cut would be the first harvest, second cut would be the second harvest, and third cut obviously the third harvest of the year. The first cut tends to be quite a bit stockier. It's a little higher in sugar and lower in nutrients and vitamins. It can also have a lot of kind of waste in it because it's the first cut of the year. It tends to have all the winter kind of old growth in it as well. So you might be picking out more things that your rabbit's not going to want to eat. But second and third cut are quite a bit sweeter. They're finer. This is second cut here that I've got this focused on for you. And so they're quite a bit sweeter, finer. They've got more nutrients in them. And also, especially for small animals like guinea pigs, this is preferred. Second and third cut are preferred because they're less likely to cause damage to your guinea pig, like poking them in the eye. So there are many different types of hay, although Timothy is the most common, and that's what I'm showing you right now. But there's other types of hay like meadow hay, oat hay, Bermuda grass is great as a treat as well. And I'm sure you have all heard of alfalfa hay. Alfalfa is great for young bunnies who are still growing. So once they reach about 6 months old, you shouldn't be feeding them alfalfa anymore. You'll want to switch to something like Timothy. And the reason for that is because alfalfa is quite a bit higher in calcium and it can cause things like sludge, which would give you that poopy bum again. But it's also okay to feed to pregnant or nursing rabbits as well, because again, a lot of those nutrients are needed for the young rabbits. Fresh hay should have a sweet scent to it. It should be nice and green, and it should be dry and free of mold or overly dusty. If you're getting your hay from a farmer, it may be dusty. That dust is not, as long as it's smelling sweet and nice and it's green color, that doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just because it's not, a lot of that hay is fresh. It's not been filtered and processed and everything. So if you're finding that hay is becoming too much of an expense for you, as it was for me, then I suggest looking around at local farm areas and seeing if someone is willing to sell you hay. Some places will actually list that they sell hay for rabbits or small animals, and those would be the people that you'd want to contact. That's what I ended up doing, and that cost that was the biggest cost for me every month has now gone down to the smallest cost. When I buy a bale of hay, it's cost me $15, and that bale lasts me about 3 months. So I went from about $25 a week to $15 every 3 months. So if you can find a farm that will sell in bulk to you, I would suggest doing that. If you're going to buy from a pet store, Oxbow or I think JoJo's Best are kind of the two that I would recommend. I've heard Clean Mama's is good as well. I don't think we have that one here in Canada, but I know a lot of people have recommended that one. So it's really up to you where you'd like to purchase your hay. I know some people prefer dust extracted, which generally speaking, fresh farm hay is not going to be filtered at all. So when I get down to the bottom of my bags, it can tend to be quite dusty. This doesn't seem to bother me or my pets, but I know some people, if they get very dusty hay, find that their pets are sneezing. I've never had that problem. So the other thing with the dust is that if you have some allergies, it might irritate you more. Some of the cons of purchasing from a pet store as well is that you don't know how long that hay has been on the shelf. It's also packaged in plastic, which is the worst thing that you can package hay in. It's not letting the hay breathe. Companies do that because they want their brand and information and everything on there, but it's not in the best interest of your pet. So if you're finding that hay is becoming way too much of a cost, I would suggest looking at local farms in your area and see if you can get hay for a better price. Another reason why I like paying such a small amount for my hay is because I don't mind when some of it gets wasted. When I'm taking out scoops of hay and transferring it from the container into the cage, I always lose a handful at least on the carpet. My rabbits love to pull it out of their hay racks and sit on it and poop and pee on it. All that hay gets wasted. So instead of, again, spending $100 a month on hay where maybe half of it is actually not getting eaten, this way I'm spending such a small amount, they can go nuts with it. If they want to destroy half of it, that's fine with me because I'm paying such a small amount that it really doesn't matter. They can have fun with their hay if they like. So when you're storing your hay in bulk, you'll want to keep it in a cool, dry place. You'll want it off a damp ground, so a basement is fine as long as it's not really damp. And if you are storing it somewhere like a garage, which may not be damp but may still have a damp cement flooring, you'll just want to put it on a skid or something so that the bags of hay are not sitting right on the ground, because you don't want that moisture to soak up into your hay and spoil it. You'll also want to make sure that it can breathe. So this sack here is actually what the farmer recommends we store it in. And these sacks are, I don't know what they're made out of, but they're almost like woven so that your hay can breathe. And you'll also want, if you can, to leave the top of the bag open because you'll want the hay to breathe. The other thing we do is store our hay in large containers, like the big storage containers, because that allows us to stack the hay up. But what I would suggest is drilling holes first into the container all the way around it. That way the air will be able to circulate in and out of the bin, and leaving the lid off again a little bit will also help it to breathe properly so it won't go bad. And if you store your hay properly, it can last several years for you. You will lose some nutritional value, but even if it takes you 8 months to go through your hay, as long as you're storing it properly, it should be more than fine for your animals. So I thought I'd end this video off with some tips to get your bunny to eat more hay. This is a common question I get from you guys all the time, so I just thought I'd give you some advice on that. So always make sure that hay is available for your rabbit in unlimited amounts. Rabbits prefer to eat and poop at the same time, so having your hay rack right above the litter box is ideal. The other thing you could do, again, if you're buying your hay in bulk or you don't mind the cost, is just fill the litter box with hay so that your rabbit can sit and munch all they want. You would, in that case, want to change the litter box on a daily basis, but that is a great way to encourage your rabbit to munch. Rabbits can be very picky about the type of hay, so you could try different brands, different cuts, different types themselves, like Meadow or Orchard as opposed to Timothy. The other thing you could do is control your pellets. So a lot of people who have emailed me about their hay problem have also said that they're feeding their rabbit unlimited pellets because they're scared that if they're not giving them pellets, then they're not going to eat because they won't eat their hay. So I kind of see where that's coming from, because you do want to make sure your rabbit is always eating. However, if you're not limiting their pellets to the weight of the rabbit, then you're going to have a problem where they're going to want the sugary, carb-filled pellets over the healthy, delicious hay if they're given that option. So a 5-pound rabbit should only be getting a 1/4 cup of pellets per day. So if you're feeding unlimited amounts, try to go by the chart I'm going to put in right now, which should help you to ration your pellets out and encourage your rabbit to eat more hay. But you just want to make sure that they're not always going to be eating those pellets instead of the hay, because the pellets are always available. You can also try and make some fun toys out of it. So I've got lots of toys on my website at BudgetBunny.ca, and lots of them also include hay in them. So making it fun for your rabbit where they want to play and chew will also encourage them to nibble on the hay because it's available in a fun and different way. You could also try mixing in some tasty bits with your rabbit's hay to encourage foraging behaviors, which also keeps them busy, but will also hopefully, while they're searching for those, encourage them to nibble on some hay at the same time. So some of the things you could put in there are maybe a few dried cranberries or dried veggies like carrots, but what you could also do is just put some of their pellets in there too, so that it's, of course, when they're going for the pellets, hopefully they're also going to nibble on some hay. So you could also buy some. So a few brands that make hay also mixed with some yummy treats in them include Sun Naturals. I think they've got some herb ones, as well as like dried carrots, and KT. So this is the Timothy Hay Plus. I believe they have one with cranberries and carrots, and this one here is with marigolds. So my rabbits absolutely love marigolds. The other thing that you can try doing is try mixing different types of hay together. So this Bermuda grass is a great example. Bermuda grass is nice and sweet, and my rabbits absolutely love it. So sometimes I'll mix it in with their regular hay because it gives them the scent of it and just some variation in their hay diet, and they go nuts for it. The other trick that I use is that if your rabbit isn't eating their hay right away, sometimes it can kind of lose that really fresh, sweet scent. So what I do is I actually take the hay out of their hay racks, stick it back in the bag with some fresher hay, let it sit there, shake it around, let it sit there for maybe a half an hour so that the scent gets back on it. Then put it back into your rabbit's hay rack, and because it's got that nice, sweet, yummy scent again, it'll gain their interest. And finally, fresh grass is okay too for your rabbit, as long as your rabbit doesn't have a sensitive stomach, and you can feed them fresh grass from your backyard, provided that you don't have any pets that go to the washroom out there or use pesticides on your grass. Or if you have a bunny-proofed area outside in the backyard, you could let your bunnies out there and nibble as well, because that'll kind of have the same effect for their teeth and digestive system. So I hope that you found this video useful. If you have any questions, please leave them below. Thanks for watching. Bye!